Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of Real or Rumor. And Cheryl, I don't know how I feel right now.
Why? What's wrong?
Well, we're coming.
Lay down on the couch and tell me your story.
I know. We're coming to the end part of May, and of course, so many times what we do is we talk about graduations.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily have graduations happening, but it hit me that as this was all coming up, that this in the fall, I'm going to have one in high school, one in middle school, and one in elementary school.
Yeah.
And then on top of all of that, my high schooler, Chase, is going to be a sophomore, but he's already started kind of looking at colleges. It's freaking me out.
Well, yeah, so they're not graduating yet or anything by any means, but they're sort of embarking on new and different stages.
Oh, yeah.
So that has to be a little bit emotional for you, I would
and
think.
I'm sure there's plenty of moms out there that know where I'm coming from, and so I'm kind of in this weird place of how do I feel about this?
I know.
But I'm like, okay, I still have one in grade school.
You still have one in elementary school, so
yeah. So I'm doing okay, but I'm excited for him. I mean, it's a fun time, that all those transitions and changes and everything. But yeah, as we're drawing closer to graduation, like the real graduation, it just blows my mind because I kind of remember being in middle school and going to high school, and it's when you watch your kids go through it, you just say, well, yeah, I went through that, and it's amazing.
I know. Well, and I remember when I met your kids, of course, Bridger wasn't
wasn't around yet.
Yeah, wasn't around yet, but it does almost seem like just overnight.
Yeah.
Everything's changed.
Well,
and they've changed. Yeah. And they've grown. And
so
different from the day that I met them.
I hate that.
I used to remember Lainey, every time I would see you guys out and about, she's just this little pint of a thing, and she'd come and grab onto my legs and just hug onto me.
Yeah.
And now she's
just a little lady and staying busy, as they all are. And so anyway, okay, well, now I got that out of my system.
Yeah, I know.
And
but it's a
better.
fun time for you and Chris too to kind of go through all of these experiences with them.
So I'll just keep dragging you along with me.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there with you.
And when I'm like, oh my God, you can go, calm down, have a mimosa.
Well, hey, have a mimosa. That's always my answer to everything, right? Well, hey, let's get your mind off of it just for a second.
Okay,
we do have another rumor.
Yes, we do.
Since this is the Real Rumor Show.
That's right.
The rumor today, Amy, is that 9-volt batteries can start a fire.
Okay, this totally blew my mind because you're thinking, oh, there's just this little, I even have one here, this little battery, it can start a fire.
Yeah.
And this is true.
Yes.
Scare the bejesus out of me.
And they're so important and so critical.
Yes.
For everything in our, carbon monoxide detectors and on and on.
Right.
But yeah, they can be very dangerous if they're not
our last Real Rumor, we were just talking about how great batteries are and make sure you replace them because they keep our smoke detectors and that working and they save lives.
Safe.
And now we're kind of going this completely opposite direction and saying, these are dangerous.
Good topic, though, to be covering. Like, call and get your free batteries, but let's also talk about how to store them and properly dispose of them.
They are convenient, but they can harm you. So we talked a little bit before the show, and I asked you, did you ever take one of the batteries and put it on your tongue?
I didn't. I have to say I didn't.
Okay, I'm sure most boys out there probably have done it at least once or twice.
I'm sure my brother did. Yeah, he was the daring one. I wasn't.
Yeah, I remember my stepdad saying, "Oh, if you want to check if the battery works, well, you can get a little bit of a. I'm not going to do it right now.
Yeah, please don't do it.
You could get a little bit of a zap that comes from it because there is power that comes from these.
Yeah,
and that's the issue.
Yeah,
is that because of the way they work, you can actually start a fire because of them and what they're contacting. So I guess my suggestion to you would be maybe not to put it up against your tongue.
Yeah, don't.
But what we want to talk about and make sure people are aware of is the little terminals that are at the end. That's the problem. That's kind of
they get really hot.
Yes, they do. They get super hot, and there's tons of examples out there of folks who have taken their batteries and they've thrown them in a drawer, or they've drawers especially, or they've set them out in the garage, and depending on how they contact other objects, they can ignite a fire.
Of course they can, because they're hot, right? You think that they're dead, but there's probably a little something in there still.
Yeah.
So metal, paper
Yeah.
clips, common things that you would find in a drawer that you would toss them
Keys,
into.
you know, sometimes you have extra keys that are thrown in there. Even steel wool. I don't know that I have much steel wool sitting around with my
Aluminum
batteries,
foil,
but all
anything like that.
those metallic type surfaces, they can trigger it and start the fire. And even this can even happen with weak batteries.
Right, that's
so, you
what
know,
I was
you may,
saying.
You may sit there and say, well, this isn't a brand new battery. It's,
Right.
I've
Or
had
it's
it
gone.
and it's kind of going and I don't want to run out to household hazardous waste to dispose of it yet. I'll wait till I have a couple of them. And they throw it over in a pile of who knows what.
Or even out in the garage. You never know what they're going to come into contact with, right?
Yeah.
So what's the best way to avoid this danger?
So
I do see a little cover on
this one's kind of cool. So we'll talk about that from in a second. There's some tips we have here that we got from the fire department. One idea is to store the batteries in their original packaging.
Okay, instead of taking them all out and dumping
so there's
them in
that
a drawer.
you get the however many batteries you buy in a set, and there's that plastic covering.
Kind of leave them intact.
The idea is you're trying to cover those two terminals that are on the top. Obviously, if you don't have that packaging, how many? Of course, I read that. I'm like, how many of us keep that? If you don't have that packaging, you want to store them by covering up the little terminals. Now this one's kind of cool. It's an industrial battery, but it has a little plastic covering already.
That came with it, yeah.
But you can also do tape.
Duct tape.
Masking tape,
Sure.
duct tape, something like that. And the idea is just to keep that from coming into contact with anything else.
Any metals.
Especially that metal. And as I mentioned, if you want to discard the batteries, which is really great idea.
Of course
Get
it
them out
is.
of the house. They have the Weld County's Household Hazardous Waste site.
Sure, and I understand they take all sorts of batteries.
All kinds of batteries, and they're very happy to when you bring them to them because they know they're out of your house and so they're safe.
And no cost to do that, right?
It is free.
Okay, good.
And
So
I think
another
that's
good reason to
all it takes.
take them there.
The only cost is a couple of minutes of your time.
Yeah.
Jumping in the car, take
mileage
them out
to
there.
go over there, right?
Yeah, but you know what? It's a great
saves.
site, and you know it's out of your house. That free site is located at 1311 North 17th Avenue.
Okay.
Phone number 304-6415, extension 2233.
Okay,
yeah,
very good.
and they're
Just if you
very
wanna know
helpful.
more.
And if you have any questions, you know, about
Sure.
what you can take out there, because we've talked a little bit about household hazardous waste. They'll take paints and household chemicals, those kinds of things, but especially in this case, batteries.
Very good. And I understand they're open Tuesdays and Saturdays from 8 to 5.
That's right.
So kind of plan according to
yeah,
those
and sometimes I go,
operating hours.
oh, it's Sunday. I'm like, oh no, I have to wait till Tuesday.
Yeah.
But you know, there's some limited days in there, but it's
at least you've got some
totally
tips
worth
now
it.
on how to keep things stored and covered until then.
Yeah. So
Very good.
now I'm going to have to freak out my mom a little bit. She's one of these. You know, don't do this because this could happen. It's like, oh, so by the way, Mom, the 9-volt battery.
I know.
Did you know?
And you've been to my house. You know that I
Yeah.
have like Martha Stewart cupboards and closets, right?
Yes.
I actually have one drawer in my kitchen that's like not. It's like so not Martha Stewart, and it's a mess. And now, I'm gonna.
Do you have a cup?
I might. So I'm gonna go check everything, and I've got everything down there. Paper clips, all the stuff we talked about. So I'm gonna definitely
make sure there's no
check,
batteries.
Clean it, organize it a little bit, and then make sure they're covered.
And I guess
Good topic.
Yeah, and I'm thinking in my mind that any battery. I mean, I know the 9-volt is the one that we're talking about, and that's probably the most susceptible. But just before we came to tape, somebody was telling me that they had a friend of theirs who had some 9-volt batteries and threw it in a bucket with some other metal objects. Burn the house down.
Oh my goodness. And I bet that's more common than we even think.
Yeah, we just don't realize. So take
Very
care
good
of those
information.
9-volt batteries and take care of you. That's what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for the topic, Amy.
You bet. Thank you.
That is going to do it for this edition of Real or Rumor. Please watch repeat editions on GTV8, as I know many of you do.
Yes, you do.
And of course, you can watch editions on YouTube as well. So for this edition, I'm Cheryl Aragon.
And I'm Amy Freeland. We'll see you then.